What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftings MMA picks for UFC Fight Island, Calvin Kattar versus Dan Ige. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another DraftKings MMA picks video. This time we have a card on a Wednesday. This card is going to be very good, I'll tell you right now. A lot of people are sleeping on this card. There's going to be a lot of finishes, and I like finishes quite a bit. And I like finishes on DraftKings, so it's going to be fun. I think the first 4 fights of the night are probably going to finish. And there's like a lot of fights projected to finish according to the odds there. I think only like 3 or 4 are not favored to go finish inside the distance. So this is going to be a very, very good card. I got to give a shout out to Dylan. He won my DraftKings MMA contest, had 100 people in it. He scored like 618 points, which I think is the first best lineup possible, first or second best lineup possible. So that was awesome. I did finish 11th in that. I thought I was going to take it down for a second. Other than that, it was a decent week. Had the second best lineup possible. I had Andrade instead of Holloway. Needed Andrade to outscore Holloway. Holloway was on the optimal lineup with 50 points in a loss on a 13-fight slate, which really surprised me. Really wasn't expecting that. I did stack Holloway and Volkanovski in cash and in single, so that was sweet. Had Davey Grant in single as well. But other than that, Cash hit. Cash has been on fire, so that's awesome. And I just want to thank you guys for all the support from last week. Everybody who subscribed, liked the video, really appreciate that. And everybody who signed up on Patreon as well. Had about 20 to 25 new members, so thank you everybody who signed up on Patreon. That really helps me out. I do put a lot of work and time into all this stuff, so yeah, thank you guys for that. But with that said, before we start the video, if you guys can leave a like, really helps me out. Also, subscribe if you haven't yet. Just got 4,000 subscribers, so thank you guys for that. On my way to 5,000 now. Hopefully we reach that soon. Just keep growing the channel there. But let's get into the fight does not go to decision lines. And by the way, I am going live on Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be very, very important live stream. Come in, hang out, ask questions. We need to see the weigh-ins on a lot of these fighters. A lot of these fighters are debuting in the UFC. Nobody really knows who they are. I took about 2 full days researching a lot of these fighters. I had no idea who a lot of these people were. So I'm ready, I'm prepared. I know who's going to have potential to score well and has potential not to score well. And there's going to be a lot of bangers on this card. I think it's going to be a very, very good card. With that said, here are some fight does not go to decision lines. I couldn't fit them all on here. Like there's a lot of fights that are going to finish on this card. We'll start with the first one, Alhassan versus Lazzez, minus 515. Fight does not go to decision, which is crazy. But if you guys don't know who this Alhassan guy is, you'll know really soon. This guy is a beast. He hits like an absolute truck. Of course, some worries for me is he is coming off of a longish layoff. He was off for about 2 years, close to 2 years. And this Lazzez guy is not bad. I don't think he's ever been finished, maybe once at the most. He does leave a lot of openings to get hit. And I think that's a recipe for disaster against a guy like Alhassan. And I like Alhassan to win. I'm going to have a decent amount. He's probably my favorite GPP play. But Lazzez is not a bad punt play because I do think this fight's going to finish. And at minus 515, you want the right side of that. And, Lazzez is kind of live in my opinion. So going to be playing a little bit of both sides here. But, Alhassan is by far the better play here. Just would not be surprised at all if Lazzez did knock him out. Like, we don't know if Alhassan's been training. Of that layoff. Lazzez has been active, so we never know. But minus 515, you are going to want some Lazzez, I bet. Philip Chimaev, minus 400. Fight does not go to decision. Chimaev is one of my favorite plays. He's one of my favorite plays. We'll get into it a little bit, but this fight's probably going to end inside the distance or just be very, very dominant on one side. I'll get into that on the next slide here. But yeah, this is a fight you are going to want to target. Michailidis, Bukauskas, minus 300. Fight does not go to decision. This fight's going to finish. I think it's either going to be Bukauskas late or Michailidis early. Michailidis does not have the best gas tank at all, and I think Bukauskas has a great gas tank. So I see it either early Michailidis or Bukauskas late, and I do think Michailidis is also live as well. Gonzalez-Berg, minus 300. Fight does not go to decision. First fight of the night, we all know how I feel about the first fight of the night. Target it heavily. On Saturday, Davey Grant was 11%. 11%. Which is, unbelievable. That fight was bound to score high one way or another, whether it was Day or Grant there. But Ended up having about triple the field in ownership on Davy Grant, so that was awesome. Great way to start it off. Had him in single as well. Davy Grant was on the optimal lineup. Great play there. And yeah, 11% is just insane. Like, people don't like playing the first fight of the night, and that's where we take advantage here. Only one time since the UFC has returned, since the COVID stuff, only one time the first fight of the night has not been on the winning lineup, which is crazy to think about. And this fight's going to end inside the distance. I'll tell you right now, both these guys have never went to decision over 30 fights. So you do want to target this fight. I'm tempted to go pretty much close to all in on this fight as well, because I do think it finishes one way or another. Phillips or Shore minus 240. Fight does not go to decision. A fight I'm going to have a lot of, more so on the Shore side. Probably not going to play any Phillips, but let's get into the core plays here. Right into it with Jack Shore, 9,400. This guy's a beast. If you guys don't know who he is, you'll know after Wednesday night. I think he can get a lot of takedowns here, advances. We've seen Phillips taken down multiple times. I think Shore will have no problem in this matchup. He's a minus 700, minus 800 favorite for a reason. I'm going to have him in cash, have him in a lot of GPP lineups as well. I do think you can go up and get him in GPP with so many punt plays that are live this week, and a lot of underdogs that are live as well. So, yeah, Shore is a great play at 9,400. Kazmat Chimaev, 8,900. Probably one of my favorite plays on the slate here. I looked him up. Watched tape on him, as much tape as I can find. He only has 6 fights, but this dude is a beast. I seen him pick up guys, slam him. I seen him pick up somebody from one side of the cage, run him over to the other side of the cage for fun, and just slam him down. Pretty crazy takedown and takedowns and grappling. He's finished all his fights, and it's just a stylistic matchup nightmare for John Phillips here. You know, Phillips' path to victory would be a knockout, so for that I will pass on Phillips, but Chimaev should roll here with takedowns. She should get him easily, as long as he fights, smart and does not mess around on the feet with Phillips. But even on the feet, he has some good hands, he has some good power, but don't mess on the feet with Phillips. Take him down and submit Phillips. Phillips has been submitted a bunch of times, so I like him a lot. 8,900. I love the price there. He's probably my first or second play. It's between him or Shore there. Calvin Kattar, 8,900. I like this play a lot. I think I might go slightly underweight to the field on him, though, because we have a lot of great plays up there. And Cater's obviously going to be the highest owned. He's going to be the main event. But I have a feeling like Shore can possibly outscore him. Chimaev can possibly outscore him. Mustakas can possibly outscore him. Al Hassan can possibly outscore him. Like, Kattar doesn't usually score too well. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, kind of off and on. He does have 5 rounds, so he is getting extra 2 rounds of volume there. So I do think he scores over 100. I just don't know if he's going to get the finish there on Ige. If he does, it's probably going to be late. But I do like Kattar. He's one of my favorite plays. He's a core play. Going to have him in cash. But I will have a lot of these other guys in the 9K range as well. Molly McCann, 8,200. I like this play a lot as a core play. I mean, Molly's somebody who's really been impressing me her past couple fights, and she scores well. I think in all of her wins, she scored over 100 points. She's one of these girls that goes out there and she fights for your money. 8,200, right in that mid-range there. So I do think if she wins, it's probably going to be on the optimal lineup. Like I said, she scored 100 points, and I think all of her wins in the UFC. She gets takedowns, especially needs to get them here. I think she could struggle a little bit on the feet here with the range of Santos, but if she fights smart, gets Santos on the ground, I think she can land some ground and pound there, maybe even get Santos out. Like, Molly McCann tries to finish you. Saw on her Twitter, she looks in great shape, so hopefully she comes in here with a smart game plan and gets Santos out of there. So I like Molly McCann quite a bit as a core player. I don't mind her in cash as well. I don't think Santos is going to be able to finish her. And the line's pretty close. I think McCann's minus 125. A lot of money seems to be coming in under the line, keeps getting wider and wider. So, yeah, I like McCann quite a bit as a core play. GPP plays, Abdul Razak Al Hassan at 9,200. Touched on it slightly. Like, this dude hits like a truck. He's a beast. You see him there on the right. If he touches your chin, you're going down. And Lazez, he does leave a lot of openings, and that's just not a good thing against a guy like Al Hassan. Al Hassan is at a good team, Fortis MMA, and I think we're going to see a really angry Al Hassan here, and I think that's going to be very dangerous. Someone who hits like a truck. If he lands on Lazez's chin once, he's probably going down. Like, this dude is a finisher. He's finished all his fights. Really excited to see him back in the UFC, but the layoff is a little concerning. He's getting up there in age, is a little concerning, but he should be fine. But yeah, 9,200, probably my favorite GPP play. Tim Elliott, 8,500. I like this play a lot. I think this is a good matchup for him. The thing is, we can't really trust Elliott. We saw his last time out, but I think he can get takedowns here. Benoit does not have the best takedown defense. We've seen Benoit taken down a lot of times, and that's what Elliott does. He gets takedowns. So I think the stylistic matchup is good here for him, but he just does not win a lot of fights. He's like 3-7 in the UFC. But we all know when he scored 175 points against Smolka there, so he is capable of scoring well, and I think he scored 100 points in his wins there, but he just doesn't win too much. So I wouldn't play too much of him, but I'm going to have a decent amount because he does have that upside, but I will have some Benoit as well because you really can't trust Elliott, but I think this is a good matchup for him. And I did hear that he did, in the last fight, he did not have the best camp. He took fight on short notice. He did not have the best cardio. He said he only had about one round of cardio. He tried to get him out of there that first round, kind of gassed out and got submitted in that second. But he said he said he worked on his cardio. I think he moved camps this fight, so I think he's going to be ready. I think he's going to hopefully not gas out. Don't really see Tim Elliott gas out that much in general. So that fight was kind of weird. Never seen him gas out that bad. That was bad. So hopefully he fixed that cardio problem, and he should roll here. He really should, as long as he does not get knocked out or gas out. I like this matchup for him a lot, but the line is so close because, like I said, you cannot trust him. Modestas Bukauskas 9,000. This play really intrigues me for a couple of reasons. He's going to be very low owned. He's going to be the lowest owned out of this 9,000 range. Nobody knows who he is, and a lot of people are going to be picking Michailidis, and I can see why. Michailidis does have that first round upside. Michailidis is probably even the better fighter overall. But Bukauskas has really good cardio, and that's where I think he wins his fight here. If he can survive that first round, he's probably going to get a finish in the second or third. Don't know how high that will score, but a finish is a finish, and 9,000 low owned. I will have some Bukauskas for sure. Kenneth Berg 8,700. The first fight of the night, gotta target it, and especially this fight where none of these guys have been to decision. He's a submission guy, and Gonzalez has been submitted 4 times in his career, 3 or 4 times in his career. So if he can get Gonzalez down, I think he can get a sub here. I want to see Gonzalez on the scales first, but I am picking Gonzalez to win and be able to stuff those takedowns. Berg, I don't think is very good at all. I think Gonzalez is probably the better fighter. Gonzalez has fought the better competition. Berg's fought some decent guys, but he's lost to 2 of them. Does not show up on his record because 1 popped for steroids. But 8,700, if he wins, he's probably going to be optimal, and it'll probably be in the first round. I don't really see this fight getting to the second round, and if it does, it probably won't last longer than that. So a fight I really want to target on both sides, but I am picking Gonzalez to win. Jared Gordon, 8,300. Jared Gordon scores really well when he wins, so for that reason, I will target a lot of him. I am personally picking Fishgold, but I do see a path to victory for Gordon for sure. It's just he's so chinny, and Fishgold hits hard. I know Fishgold has only finished 3 of his fights by knockout, but he hits hard. He has very, very underrated power, and it probably won't take much power to hurt Jared Gordon. He's very, very chinny, and so I like Fishgold, but I will have some Gordon, because if Gordon can weather that storm of Fishgold, and Fishgold does not have the best gas tank, Gordon can definitely finish him late. So a fight I am probably going to be close to all in on Jared Gordon and Fishgold. It's a fight you are going to want to have because the winner's going to score high regardless. Live dogs here. Chris Fishgold touched on a little bit. This guy, I'm picking him to win. I think he's very, very skilled. I think he's underrated. And I think he has power. He has power. He has takedowns. He averages a crazy 7 takedowns per 15 minutes. He fights at a crazy pace. No wonder he gasses out. If he does not get him out of there early, I'm kind of worried about his gas tank. But this is a guy that can score high as well. So I do like quite a bit of Chris Fishgold. But on the flip side of things, you are going to play some Gordon as well, because the winner of this fight is going to be on the optimal lineup. I can almost guarantee it, especially in that mid-range. George Gonzalez touched on it slightly. 7,500. I like him to win. This is a dude that has no regard for defense, and I don't think it's going to matter here against Berg, who does not have the best striking. He fights with his hands down, and all he does is throw bombs. That's all he does. He does not care. He'll take 3 shots to give 1 hard one, and I don't think Berg's that good. I really don't. Every time Berg has took a step up in competition, he's been submitted, and Gonzalez does have some submissions on his record, but he's also been submitted before 3 or 4 times. I think that's why he's the underdog here, but the line is getting closer, and there's going to be a lot of line value on George Gonzalez here. And I want to see him at weigh-ins. I'm recording this video late Monday night. Weigh-ins are coming up at 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. And I want to see the weigh-ins on this guy. I want to see how he looks. Because he did fight at heavyweight. And he fought at heavyweight, I think, July 3rd, early July. So I want to see how he looks. That's a lot of weight to cut. was not able to see what weight he weighed in at, but coming down from heavyweight, I want to see what it looks like on the scales. I want to see if he, looks like he's been working or if he's been just getting off the couch. So really, really look into that at the weigh-ins. Ryan Benoit, 7,700. Yeah, like I said, you can't trust Tim Elliott, and we're getting a good price on Benoit here at 7,700. He's finished, I think, 90% of his fights. Elliott's never been knocked out before, though, in a bunch of fights. So I do like Elliott quite a bit, but, you can't trust him. Maybe Benoit weathers the storm, because there is going to be a huge storm with Elliott. We all know that. Could see Benoit maybe knocking out Elliott late, but Elliott's very, very tough. He's never been knocked out. But Benoit's a fine play at 7,700. Do not mind that at all. Lerone Murphy, 7,400. A fight that could be a little bit close, but I like Hamush quite a bit to win the fight. But Murphy, he is very live. He hits hard. If he can stuff the takedowns from Hamush, I think this can be close on the feet. I think Hamush's striking is very, very underrated, though. So if this does play on the feet, which it might, I think it could be very, very close. I do give the slight advantage to Murphy on the feet. He has a lot of power. He has more power than Hamush, but the ground game of Murphy does worry me. He got taken down a lot in his last fight. Hamush's wrestling isn't, great, but he does get takedowns. I think Hamush has had like 5 takedowns in his last 2 fights, and Hamush is a BJJ black belt. So if Hamush does get Murphy down, I think Hamush can maybe submit him. But if Murphy can stuff those takedowns, I think he's very live, and at 7,400, I'm willing to take a shot there. All right. John Phillips, 7,300. Won't have much of this guy, but, we saw his last fight. He has power. He won in that first round early there. He was very low owned. I've actually played John Phillips, his last fight, in a single entry. He was like 9% owned in single. So yeah, this dude has power, and he's going to be very low owned. So maybe take a couple shots on him, because, you never know. I think he's finished like 90% of his fights. Maybe even more than that. This dude's a finisher. That's all he does. But the problem is his ground game is awful. He's been submitted a bunch of times, and I just don't like this matchup for him. So I don't know. I'll have a couple of them because he does have upside, but probably not going to have too much. Getting into the punt plays here, I also might add Lazez because I do think Lazez is kind of live there as well against Alazan, because of all the question marks and everything, and Lazez is pretty good. Did like what I seen from Lazez on tape, so I might add Lazez as a punt. But Andres Michailidis, 7,200, talked about it a little bit. He has about 1 round of gas. He's taken this fight on short notice. I've watched in fights where, he was getting tired in that first round, and that's just something you don't want to see against a guy like Bukauskas, who has a very, very good gas tank. But Michailidis is extremely live. I think is a good fighter. It's just the gas tank is what concerns me. 7,200 is a great price, and I do think there's upside. He's someone who's going to fight for your money in that first round, and that's something we like in a DraftKings play. So don't be surprised if Michailidis came out here and won in the first round. Other than that, he's probably going to end up getting finished in that second and third. I think he's been knocked out once. Bukauskas has been knocked out once as well. So I do think someone's getting finished in this fight. And at 7,200, I think this fight should be probably lined a little bit closer. But I can definitely see why Bukauskas is like a minus 230 favorite, just because of the cardio alone. Like I said, Michailidis has about half a round to finish this fight, which it is very possible. So I'd have some shares of Michailidis. And I would like to see him on the scales as well. Another guy. I want to see if he's looking kind of in shape or not. Because I do think he's taking this on short notice, I believe, as well. So that's something to look at too. Dan Ige, I personally won't have much of him, but I can see why you could play him. I can see him winning the first round against Kattar, but after that, Kattar just gets better as the fight goes on. It's a 5-round fight, which favors Kattar a lot. I can see Ige winning maybe a round and a half, but other than that, Ige is someone who usually takes off a round in a 3-round fight. You can't do that in a 5-round fight, and you can't do that against a guy like Kattar. So I do like Kattar quite a bit to win. I have him parlayed with Kamaru Usman, someone who just won. So I like that parlay quite a bit. And I like Kattar a lot on DraftKings, but honestly won't have much Ige. As for stacking it in cash, I probably will because he is very cheap, 7,100. And I can't see a scenario where this does go 5 rounds. Kattar is known as the Boston finisher, but he hasn't finished many fights in the UFC. So it could go 5 rounds. Ige is very tough. I don't know if Ige's ever been knocked out. I want to say he hasn't. So yeah, we saw him take a lot of hard shots against Barbosa in his last fight. We've seen him get dropped. Maybe he gets dropped here against Kattar, but he's very tough. So maybe he can survive and go 5 rounds with Kattar here rack up some points in a loss for cash. So I don't mind that in cash, but other than that, probably won't have much of him in GPP. Other than that, we got our fades here. Jimmy Rivera, 8,400. He just doesn't score much. He doesn't. He's not a finisher. He's finished like probably a total like 20% of his fights. Does not throw much volume. Maybe he lands. I want to say a ceiling is like 85, 90 strikes, and that's like 75 point win there in a decision win. I don't see him knocking out Stamen. I do see him winning though. A very, very close fight, but I just don't see him scoring well on DraftKings unless there's like a fluke knockout. So won't have much to Rivera. Of course, when I say fade, I mean, in 150 lineups, I have 3%. Other than that, Aaron Phillips won't have much Aaron Phillips. Probably won't have much of the Stamen fight in general as well. So just a fight I really don't want to target on a fight where there's going to be a lot of finishes. But that's about it, guys. Like I said, thank you for everybody who signed up on Patreon. 20 to 25 new members. It really helps me out. It is not cheap getting some of these getting some of these stats into my models, not specifically in MMA, but in the other sports I do the MMA model by hand, which does take a while. So thank you for all the support. Really helps me out. But the membership, I make it a cheap price, so you can get it on the last day of the month, and you'll still get value. $5 for the regular and $10 for the one with the cash lineup and single entry lineup optimizer, which shows you the optimal lineup using my projections, and also that example cash lineup in there, and then the premium breakdown and strategy video, which is very important this week, going over cash lineup strategies, going over single entry lineup builds, different cash lineup examples in there, and a fighter by fighter breakdown as well in there. But the DraftKings article is in there for the $5 or $10 membership. GPP lineup percentages. Premium projections are on there as well, and then full access to my model with a lot of good stuff on there, a lot of good stats. You can see who's getting finished, who's not getting finished, who's doing the finishing, all that. Lots of good stuff on there. And so thank you guys for all that signed up, and hopefully we keep growing on there. I think I have close to 130 members. Let's keep growing on there. Let's get 150 by the end of the month. And that's about all I got for you guys. Make sure you guys give this video a like if it helped you out in any way. If you guys enjoy my content, give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't yet. On my way to 5,000 subscribers. Can't believe I got 4,000 that quick. Like, that was fast. So thank you guys for everybody who subscribed. That's awesome. Let's keep growing on here. And that's about it. And let's win some money this week on DraftKings.